Vinny and Jatana, and this is my fifth Sports Med 3 project on post-surgical rehab. I decided to do a meniscus repair rehabilitation. A meniscus repair is when you sew the meniscus back together that is torn. For example, you can see here, there's a tear, and they would just suture it back together. Again, here's the tear, sutures. And I wanted to do this because my mom has a torn meniscus, and she was considering a meniscectomy, but I figured she's kind of old. That is the recommended surgery, but I wanted to know why a meniscus repair isn't recommended, because I feel like this is better because with a meniscectomy, there's going to be more arthritis because it's bone rubbing on bone, and it's eventually going to lead to a total knee replacement. But with the meniscus repair, there's less pain long term. It is a harder recovery and more invasive, but I feel the benefits are better. But I was just curious on why this is not really recommended for old people. And a meniscectomy is just when they remove damaged meniscus. They remove damaged meniscus. You can see here's the bone, and here's the meniscus that was damaged, and you can see they clearly removed this part. And again, you can see this is where they removed the meniscus, and here is where they simply sutured it. Not simply, but they sutured it back together. So the meniscus repair rehab consists of 6 stages, and it can last from around 12 weeks to 6+ months, depending on how far you want to take it. For my mom, it would probably be around 5-ish months, because she would go through the basic beginnings, and then I'm sure she would want to go on her like daily walks and such, so she would progress a little further to be able to jog and stuff like that. For phase 1, it's 0 to 3 weeks right after surgery, and you just want to make sure, you really want to make sure that you limit that swelling, and you want to keep your knee moving, but not past 90 degrees. You also mainly want to keep it straight and elevated, but when you do your range of motion, you want to get it to around 90 degrees. That way you could progress to phase 2. And you want to be careful of that surgical side, because you don't want to undo these sutures and have to get surgery all over again. That would be bad. And depending on what your physician says, you should be on a locked brace with crutches and partially weight bearing. Now for phase 2, it's again price, and you want to keep moving your knee with range of motion. You want to be careful of that surgical side. And now you can move on to partial weight bearing, depending on what your physician says. You might still need crutches or a brace, but now you should be flexing to about 120 degrees, and you want to extend equal to the non-injured side, meaning it could be 1 degree or 2 degrees off, hyperextended, but most people are just 0 or less. And you do not want swelling. That's a big issue. For phase 3, this is 6 to 9 weeks. You want to continue the previous with range of motion and no swelling. You should be fully walking right now. Maybe crutches, maybe a brace, depending on what your physician says again. And you want to progress your strength, cardio, balance, and range of motion. Here are a few exercises for that. A stationary bike helps with cardio, range of motion, and strength. And I guess balance too. Because you're using your legs to push with strength, you're breathing, which is cardio, and the cycling motion is bending your knee. And also, this is a good exercise for strength and balance and range of motion, because you're bending your knees, you're squatting, and you're balancing on the medicine ball. For phase 4, this is 9 to 12 weeks. You want to, again, progress the previous. This can include an elliptical, which just advances your exercises more and makes them harder. You want to make sure you're stable, and you don't want any instability in your knee. And you should be about 80% of your non-injured side, meaning if you can 1 leg squat on your non-injured side, you want to be around 4/5 of the way there on your injured side. For phase five, this is when the return to sports start. So if you want to, you know, just go to the grocery store and live your normal life, that you would most likely end around phase four. But for phase 5 and 6, this is more returning to sports. For phase 5, it's 3 to 5 months. You can return to running, and sorry, you can initiate your return to sports program. This means kind of like getting used to it and starting it a little. And you should be now around 90% of your non-injured side, so you should be getting really close to being recovered. And for phase 6, this is 6+ months, meaning it could go on for however long you think you need to regain confidence and physical and mental preparedness for going back to your sport. Even if it's something simple like running, I don't know, jogging or going on a walk, you might need this. But you can do your return to sport program, and this includes hard actions like cutting uh, and sprinting, and you should be around the same as your non-injured side by now. uh, you could be a little less, that's okay, but you should be really close. And yeah, thank you. So this has been